Everywhere, all I see is gorillas. All weekend, all I'm seeing is a story about this little 4-year-old boy who falls into a gorilla enclosure, and boom, something happens with the gorilla and they have to shoot the gorilla to save the boy. I'm a huge animal lover, and these gorillas are already endangered, so it's really just like, man, what a bummer. But then I'm just reading stuff. I hadn't seen the video yet. Now I'm hearing people started a petition on change.org to actually get the mother of this child in some sort of trouble, maybe with Child Protective Services, and having them check out, her parenting skills, because her kid went into an enclosure at the Cincinnati Zoo. On top of this one tragedy, there might be a second tragedy where they're breaking up this family. But I said, you know what? Let me not judge. Let me actually see the video. Let's watch the video. Okay. So there's this huge gorilla. Harambe is his name. Okay, looks like he's just hanging out in the corner. No big deal, we're hanging out. Oh. Okay, when I saw the video the first time, that took me back. So that kid's only 4 and he's being dragged through the water, but at the same time, the gorilla does seem protective. He doesn't seem to mean harm to this kid, and gorillas are really, really strong animals, so this gorilla could just, could kill this kid at any moment in time. I don't know how this kid stayed so calm. I would have been freaking out. Then he kind of stands him up, and then boom, he takes off again. Now, this gorilla is taking off with a lot of force, so already I'm just nervous. Even though he seems protective of the kid, I'm just nervous this kid's gonna get seriously hurt. It looks like the gorilla is trying to protect the child, that he somehow cares for the child. I don't know. But at the same time, I think to myself, would I want to risk it? I mean, if it were my kid and there was a choice between killing the gorilla and hoping that maybe he backed away and there was some opportunity to save the child, once I saw my child being dragged through the water at that high rate of speed, I would have been like, you know what, I think it might be best if my kid lives. He's 4 years old. What can you do in this situation? And the mother, Michelle Gregg, actually made a post on Facebook because of all the negative press she's receiving about taking care of her kid. And she simply explains it was an accident. And, obviously I wasn't there. I have no idea how well she was watching her child, if the child was always close to her, and it truly was, something that was almost unavoidable. I've been to grocery stores, I've been out in public, I've seen people not really take care of their kids, but not to the level that you would want to call Child Protective Services. I've seen people ignore their children, but not to the level you would call Child Protective Services. If anything, the onus really should be on the zoo. The zoo knows small children come to visit. They should make sure that there is no way a small child could get into an enclosure. Obviously not an adult, but they should make sure that all sizes of people cannot slip and, do whatever it is needed to do to get into these enclosures without some sort of authorized personnel, security checks, X, Y, and Z. The zoo really here is at fault for allowing this enclosure to be something that could be breached by a 4-year-old. However, was the decision to shoot the gorilla right? I'd say so. I'm in actually very good company here, as Jack Hanna came out and said it was the right decision.
What happens when you tranquilize the animal? Whether it's a gorilla, whatever animal it might be. And as I do research in the wild with gorillas, I see what happens. So I know what happens. When that dart hits the animal, you can imagine, the animal, it's like a shot, but he jumps like this. So what would happen if he had a hold of that little boy? I've seen a silverback gorilla take a green coconut, which you can't even bust up with a hatchet, and go like this. Beyond the strength of anything you would ever know. So what choice would be of human life and animal life?
The force and the power of a gorilla, you cannot underestimate it. They are so much stronger than we are. So they had to take every step to preserve a human life. And I think that's what we're forgetting. It's hard to see a gorilla who's almost looking protective of a child getting shot. And thank God we didn't actually see that happen, because that might have been very traumatic. But at the same time, we had to value that life. And if it were my child, I keep putting myself in that position. It's so much easier from the outside looking in to Monday morning quarterback the situation and go, No, they shouldn't have shot the gorilla. How dare they do that? I think none of us would have made a different decision if we were in the situation she was in. So this mother did not at all make the decision to shoot this gorilla. Professionals looking at the situation made the decision to shoot the gorilla. It's unfortunate. But again, I say put yourself in that woman's shoes or anyone's shoes who's making a decision at the time. Anything that we can do might cost this child his life, but for this. And apparently the child was in there 10 to 15 minutes. So they let it play out, but they determined that they had enough concern to shoot this gorilla. I don't think that we need to be attacking the mother. What we need to do is looking at the Cincinnati Zoo and seeing what they could do to further ensure that something like this doesn't happen again. But accidents happen. Bad things happen to people and to animals. And it's unfortunate. It's my hope that she doesn't have to go through another traumatic experience entering to Child Protective Services and lose any time with her child whatsoever. I think this child needs to recover. The child is probably traumatized by what just took place. I don't think it serves anyone to add more trauma in this child's life by possibly separating this child from his mother. Well, that's my spiel.
That's my little 2 cents.
I'd love to hear your comments, your feedback. Feel free to click the links below. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And I'll be back with another video soon. Shaka out. Did I just say Shaka out?